Welcome everyone, Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, websites by plebes or plebs. We also do the hardware releases. Drop us a like, subscribe. Today, got a very special guest, fellow Bitcoiner, toxic pleb, and programmer for Specter Desktop. I'm talking about Ben Kaufman. He's going to join us for all the fun, but now, get off to the numbers. Let's do it.
Number time.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 694,534. The Bitcoin price, 42,625. Chain rewrite days, 1,046. Total public lightning capacity, 2,184.70. That is a new all-time high for that. Sats per dollar, they are dropping back down. 2,346. And I figured I would add, just to rub a little salt into all of our wounds, days since the all-time high, 114. It's a new dashboard, right? I changed computers. I figured, why not add a new metric? And I like to see that because I feel like that number eventually drops to zero sooner than later.
I like the subtle hint, but yeah, it was nice. we broke the.
Not speculating.
We hit 43K. That was nice, but we don't like to talk about price on the show. But I guess you guys can surmise what me and Phil are saying indirectly. But let's move on to
the daily fail. All right, this week we are actually going to have two rug pulls. We're going to do another one tomorrow because that's right. Like, we're going to build up. It's going to be funny when we actually get to the one rug pull per episode. It's like, we don't even have other fails. We just have rug pulls. Anyways, here we go. This is I don't even know where I got this from, but Mudit Gupta. Here we go. Let's talk about some, this sounds like legit. Popsicle Finance. Let's talk about some popsicles, people. This is where I want my money. Popsicle money. Literally, right? What happens to it? It melts. Anyways, okay. Popsicle Finance exploited. Hacker drained approximately 25 million. The hack was complex, but the bug was simple. Yeah, of course it was. Basically, Popsicle doesn't transfer the reward debt when users transfer their shares. This exposes multiple exploits, one of which was used here. And then he goes and, shows the piece of code. And these are supposed to be a high number, but is actually zero. Okay. The bug in Popsicle is that these variables are not updated when the user transfers their shares to a different address. The new address is eligible to claim rewards from day zero rather than from when the user deposited their tokens. This is what the attacker did, so that's ridiculous. Anyways, this bug also allows the user to keep transferring the shares and claiming rewards for the same shares multiple times. Oh, so we're not... using different accounts. So we're not even talking about double spend. Like we are just talking about outright, like I could just take as much as I want when I want, being whoever I want. So, I mean, that is just such a nasty rug pull. Anyone who's sitting there telling you that this is a worthwhile endeavor, to try to make some money. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is an outright scam. It has no use case. The use case was that $25 million rug pull. That was the use case. That was it. It fulfilled its purpose. Anyways, Nico, you want some popsicles?
Man, look, I'm gonna take a little slightly different take. I'm gonna continue. I've been saying I'm slightly concerned about the shitcoin developers because they're gonna run out of names. Right? They used sushi already. They used Popsicle, and why do they keep using fruits and food? Like, what the fuck? And shouldn't that be a red flag? Shouldn't you be like, okay, maybe if the thing that I'm investing is named after a food, maybe it's not such a good idea? Apparently, they haven't learned their lesson yet. But yeah, look, here's just another example of, the smart contract creator playing God and rug pulling people. Eventually, hopefully, some of those people will learn the truth. And of course, the truth is Bitcoin. Ben?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I used to work on smart contracts, so I know that this is very, very difficult to secure these things. These things are super fragile. There are lots of attacks all the time. So these things are completely expected, and it's all this idea of smart contracts is usually for this type of stuff. It's just very, very risky. And I don't understand why people even try to put money on Popsicle Finance. Why? So it's like why do you do that? So I can't take this seriously anymore, to be honest.
We can't even make this shit up. They call it's Popsicle Finance, and somebody's sitting there looking at it, thinking like they're an investor, right? They're looking over the material, making a decision. This is an educated decision. No, it's not.
I feel like it's almost a troll too. Like I feel like
Right?
think about it, bro. Like they named it sushi, and they were like high-fiving each other, like they're gonna buy something called sushi. It's the same thing with Popsicle. They were probably like, high five, they're gonna buy Popsicle. Man,
It's rug pull technology, man. That's what it is.
Rug pull technology, yeah.
rug pull technology designed to take all your money, but that's exactly what it is. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily meme review.
All right, everybody, the meme for today. Well, it's not really a meme, but sometimes we don't do memes, especially if we find like really cool images and like really like, images, I guess, that tell a story. And I guess this, with the infrastructure bill and them trying to sneak in like this, sneaky crypto tax, for BS because they're all a bunch of corrupt politicians. I guess reading this article made me feel a little bit better. Anyways, this is an article from the 90s that our friend documenting BTC posted. And check this out. This is telephone industry moves to ban internet phone software. Right, the telephone and computer industries are headed for a regulatory brawl over a new technology that lets two computer users talk to one another over the internet without having to pay for a long distance call. Right, so yeah, clearly when there's a disruptor, the powers that be don't like it, and I think that meme. Or it's not really a meme. It's like a cutout newspaper, but it does the same job as a meme because I guess it tells information very quickly in an image, and for that, because it was so interesting, it reminds me of times like today. I'm gonna give it a TIE Fighter Lego guy. Woo! What about you, Phil?
Very cool. Yeah. I totally look. I love seeing article clippings like that. I remember seeing there was another one, a much older one that had to do with with the like the horse and buggy, right? Like against the cars and like all of the rumors, like of the problems that cars will cause and all of this stuff for trying to stop the technology. You gotta love it. It may not be a meme, but it's kind of a living meme. So I totally agree. And, with that, I'm giving it this completely irrelevant, random, another plastic thing, which I know Bitcoin Meme Hub will get a kick out of, some more random crap that I have. It's essentially, it's just an LED. It's just a USB LED. You plug it onto the side of your computer and it lights up blue. It does nothing, but it lights up.
It lights up, a useless LED. I love that. Excellent score. What about you? What about you, Ben? What would you give that meme?
Well, I'm new to this game, so I'm not sure what am I supposed to give it.
Anything.
I don't have many small objects here, to be honest. What do I have around here? Well, I can give it this hat, I guess. I'll give it a hat.
Okay.
There you go.
Good score. Okay.
Keep in the shade.
Good score. A hat, a Lego person, and a useless LED. Guys, do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comments. And of course, join our Telegram group so you can link us some memes to review because it's a meme review. Anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
Alright, so you guys get the point. People want freedom, but the powers that be, the mainstream media, and some bureaucrats in power, right, would like you to believe essentially this, what this Newsweek article has posted, right? The Doomsday variant, or the Delta variant. Oh my God. COVID keeps mutating into scary new threats. How worried should we be? They tell you how worried should we be. And look, they're starting to even use that as a reason for, the Fed, apparently that they said they were going to stop tapering buying assets, right? They're even using it as an excuse. Delta might throw a wrinkle into taper plan. Are you sure it's Delta, or maybe it's the fact that you guys have absolutely lost control and you don't have an option but to money print? And I just might, and I want to point out the hypocrisy. If this virus was so bad, right, then this festival in Chicago, one of the cities, I might add, that is headed for a lockdown, the past weekend, this festival had 100,000 people attending. Just to give you guys a visualization of what that's like, check it out. Okay? Look how scary COVID is, that people just, they want to stay home. Look, do you see any masks in there, Phil?
Are they all dead yet?
They're all dead. Yeah.
They're all dead right now.
Yeah. According to the mainstream media, they all died.
But
before they got there, they were dead.
But remember, it's a doomsday. It's a doomsday, right?
So I quickly got to point out, though, okay, before you go on a rant, I got to point out that I think that what they're making is a fraternal organization, right? Based on the names that they're giving it, the Delta, Lambda, I'm waiting for like an Epsilon or a Phi or something like that, okay? I'm definitely, it's becoming a fraternal organization. And the second thing I wanted to say was for that Neil Kachikari comment, they're out of their freaking minds. That guy is so full of shit, it's unbelievable. I mean, are you kidding me? Really? This is the virus's fault? Sorry, man. I had to say that.
No,
I had to get it off the chest, man.
Feel free to jump in, man. It's just like the reason I wanted to show it. I know that Ben's been extremely vocal about it on Twitter, and I love his takes. And man, it's clear that governments are using this as an excuse in order to get more power for themselves and control people, because it does not make sense what they're doing, right? It just doesn't make sense, right? They've gone overboard, right? You have Israel, one of the most vaccinated countries on the face of the planet, right? And they're still doing lockdowns, right? Like it makes absolutely no freaking sense. And then you have a country like Sweden that never really locked down. And did everybody die? No, right? So, and then you have Florida, for example. You have Governor DeSantis going on and saying, listen, I want, Floridians' freedom. They have a choice to decide whether they want to be scared or not, whether they want to put a mask, whether they want to take the jab, right? It's all personal choice. And then you have the complete opposite. You have like New York City, right? That's saying like, you must, you must take this in order to, go to restaurants or gyms. And if you see how this isn't going to be used in the future, right, as part of a new social credit system, right, you'd have to be blind for that, right? So clearly, man, this scandemic, right? I know that it's a real pandemic. I know that it affects the elderly. If you're old, I completely understand that you must take care of yourself. But clearly, this pandemic, especially if you're under the age of 30, is being used by governments for more control, for justification of more control over their citizens, man. And it's just crazy. And again, we're apolitical on the show, guys, but we stand for Bitcoin, meaning we stand for personal freedom, meaning we stand for the freedom of the individual to make his own choice over his life. Ben, you have any thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I've been pretty vocal lately on Twitter on that as well. This whole insanity of vaccine passports, of Israel locking up again after everybody's practically vaccinated already. They're now, like, the thing in Israel right now is that they're threatening that they will lock down if not enough people take the third dose. So now the vaccine stopped working. So their solution is to just give more of it. You see, that's completely like a brilliant idea. Just, it's not working, so just continue to push more of it, shove more on it into people. And I mean, eventually they just still use these lockdowns as a threat to basically control people and tell them what to do. They use it. They use the vaccine passport system to force people into getting the vaccine. It's all just so insane. I mean, they practically believe that because someone else is not taking the vaccine, their vaccine will stop working on something, and it's just ridiculous.
Phil?
I think, yeah, I want to add, I just think really what this is, right? If we zoom out, okay, this is about control, and this is about controlling everybody moving around and controlling everything we do and encroaching on the very little privacy that we'd like to believe that we have left. So it's like, to me, I don't look at it I don't look at it in terms of the the virus or anything like that. I think that this is all just an opportunity that was seized upon by the powers that be.
Exactly.
And that's what they're doing, and they're driving everyone crazy, to be perfectly honest. I think that's part of the problem, and it's something that they're causing intentionally, I believe. I don't think that this confusion is a side effect, or, we made a mistake with some of the information. It's like, I believe this is intentional.
Absolutely, man. It's atrocious. And guys, we want to specify again, we are not anti-vax on this show. You could put whatever you want into your own body. However, we are for the freedom of the individual to make his own decision based on the risks, right, that he sees himself. We don't think that a top-down approach, that the government knows what's best for you, right? And as we've seen throughout history, they don't know what's best for you. Anyways, and check out how absurd it's getting. I saw this tweet by, Sivan Schneiser. I can't pronounce that. I apologize. Yeah. And he posts essentially a screenshot from the New York Times. Here's the New York Times, right? And it specifically says, don't go down the rabbit hole. And he highlighted a part that said, often you see a pattern in the links of a consensus that's been formed. But deeper into the process, it often gets weirder. It's important to know when to stop. So what they're trying to tell you is, like, don't trust yourself, trust us, the New York Times, because we know what's best, right? And these are the same people, peddling this insania that's going on. And look, Bitcoin fixes all this, because at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is that they're trying to implement central bank digital currencies. And the same people that are controlling the virus narrative are going to be the same people controlling your money. So imagine in New York City, for example, if you don't get the jab in your arm, all of a sudden, they limit your movement, right? They limit where you can't spend money, right? So this is why Bitcoin is so important. Right now, that seems absurd to you. But it would have also seemed absurd to you if 2 years ago I told you that you would require a passport essentially to eat and go to the gym in New York. You would say, oh no, that's crazy, right? That's insane. That could never happen here, right? So I'm telling you that this is just the beginning. Totalitarian governments don't just stop, right? And it's obvious that some people in the US have fell in love with the China model, right? A little bit too much, right? And they're trying to implement an American version of that China model. Phil?
You know what? I really feel that people are attracted to, the father figure, or that, that somebody is just going to take care of you. And this is what attracts people to socialism. People want to be taken care of, and they want to be told that everything's going to be all right. But the reality is that if we truly desire freedom, then we have to actually actively take part in personal responsibility. And, that's why my tweet, that's what I put out today, that really is what it has to do with, right? It has to do with us deciding to be personally responsible. And through doing this, we stop offsetting the responsibility to this, father figure that really doesn't give a shit about any of us, right? And through that, I think that we're actually going to achieve some level, some better level anyways, of freedom than we have right now. Gives us a fighting chance anyways.
Absolutely. And I think that, if Bitcoin wins, which we all think it will, based on the game theory and based on the better incentives of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin defunds the state. It gives the state, it stops the state's monopoly, right, on the creation of money. It democratizes it, and it makes it so that anybody, right, that has the energy, right, could essentially make some Bitcoin, right? So that changes everything. That changes the power dynamics from the state being the all-powerful because they have this unlimited money printer to pay for whatever they want to the individual citizens. And exactly, I'm going to steal your line, Phil, right? It changes the dynamics where the government would actually have to start providing value, right? So it's different. Ben, do you agree with that? Would you disagree?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think things are going to get much worse in the future. So with CBDC, for example, central bank digital currencies, they might eventually just, if they want to implement a lockdown, if you didn't get the jab, whatever, they can simply block you out of your own wallet, out of your own money. These things are very real threats, and it's probably coming quite soon. So I'm very worried about this stuff, and I think Bitcoin can help a lot on that.
So do you see Bitcoin as the solution to? Would you say that over time, over decades, Bitcoin would make governments smaller?
Yeah, I believe so. So Bitcoin, they cannot print more, they cannot control it, they cannot stop transactions. So yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And check out this to end the news segment. I'm going to read a tweet from Alex Gladstein, right? And, he says it himself, right? He says, and this was after Gary Gensler, right, essentially said, I'm pro-innovation, but we also need rules of the road, right? And Alex Gladstein said, who's going to break it to him that Bitcoin changes governments, not the other way around, right? So again, and that goes to the old adage that we always say is, no, everyone says this essentially, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. Fiat empowers the state, and Bitcoin empowers the individual, right? And in these dark times, I think that it emphasizes how important Bitcoin is, just for a bright orange future. But anyways, Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, we've got Samurai Wallet version 0.99.96J that was released, and that is a Bitcoin wallet that also has a mixing service called Whirlpool, and that is down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. But before we go, I want to give a shout out to our awesome guest. He's a shadowy super coder. You can go follow him @ Ben Kaufman. He's an unlicensed software engineer. Ooh, that's so scary. And of course, he's coding one of my favorite wallets. It pulled me away from Electrum. It's called the Specter Wallet. Definitely give it a go. You have to connect it to your own node. All of that is super worth it. I'm sure you see, or I hope you are starting to see why that's super worth it based on the stuff that we just went through on the daily news. But guys, if you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fiat, shitcoin, government, PhD economists, there's so many goddamn fails, Phil's not going to have enough time to cover them, and the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective, definitely consider subscribing. And we'll see you on Monday, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
Personal responsibility is freedom.